It's really an honor to get to speak to you guys today. I did want to just kind of briefly share our story. Some of you guys could probably tell it better than I could because Dave and I have been here a long time and I've told it quite a few times. But I don't know if there's anything more powerful than your testimony of how you found this business, how you got here, and how you've built a business. But um, most of you know that David and I basically he was one of five kids. I was one of five, and we grew up 5 miles away from each other. So I've known him all my life. He was my brother's friend. I knew his brothers and sisters. He knew mine, and um, it was 1977. I had Farrah Fawcett hair, trust me, and a brand new Cutlass Supreme. And I pulled up at a red light apparently, and Laurel, and he saw me, and he'd been in the military. He'd gone off and joined the military for 3 years, and had come home and saw me. He said, "I think that's Bob's little sister, but man, she's grown up. I think I'm going to give Jill a call, right?" So he called me and asked me out. My mother said, "Jill, you cannot go out with him. He's too old for you." And I said, "Mom, I am not going to go out. I'm just going to go have one date. It's David. Good old Dave, right?" I never intended to have a second date with Dave. And we went on that first date, and I came home and told my mother, I said, "I think I'm going to marry that guy." And 4 months later, mother said, "You need to marry that guy." It was just right. Sometimes, like I told Tommy when he met Candace, sometimes lightning just strikes and you just know it. But anyway, so we got married. Of course, we're young. I was really young. Okay. We got married a year later, October of 1978. And he was introduced to this company. We'd been married about a year. And his first grade friend came over and, talked to him about the business and was explaining it to him. And I wasn't paying that much attention at all. Um, but it didn't take me long to realize he was really serious about this. He was a senior in business at USM. I had a job that I absolutely hated. I don't know if any of you ever had. Have you ever had a job I hated? I was a bank teller. I was probably the world's worst bank teller ever, ever in this. And I don't know if I hated it because I was bad at it, or if I was bad at it because I was hated it. But I think everybody needs a job that you don't like at least once or twice. It'll definitely get you motivated. So I was working full time, going to school at night. David was working full time as a men's health club manager, and he was taking 18 hours in school that semester, a really heavy class load. And then he got in this, and he didn't work it part time. He somehow managed to book 15 appointments a week with a crazy schedule. So all of a sudden, I don't see him very often, right? And I'm thinking, what's this thing you're doing again? Because I just had to get David through school. We were going to move to Dallas, Texas, and go to work with an oil field company that my dad had worked with forever, and all my family seemed to go to work with. And Dad had already told Dave, if you just get your degree in business, you'll have a good job, security, right? A company car, an expense account, 2.3 kids in a house in the suburb. So I had us moved living in Dallas, Texas already. That's just how it was going to go. And David saw this business and he was excited. He had always wanted to own his own business. We were broke. We were so broke. We were living in a log cabin of his dad's, okay, at Tucker's Crossing, Mississippi. And David tells everybody his dad never asked for any rent. And we never offered any. We managed to live there rent free for 2 years. And, so he sees it as, man, it's a way I could own my own business without a big investment, right? Because you can't open a business without money. It's just kind of hard to do. Most businesses require what? A lot of capital. And he loved the idea of helping people. So many things you go in business and it's something. I mean, I see even businesses that take advantage of people to be successful. But this was a business he looked at and he goes, man, this is a way I can actually help people. I can work at something I can believe in. I could be my own boss. I could make money. I could work at something I believe in. And I watched David that night that the guy explained the company to David, and David said, "Is there any way you can get me on?" And I've looked back at that so many times and thought, you really can't say. It's hard to say the wrong thing to the right person. Y'all, if you're the right person, you're just going to know it. You're just going to know it. And nobody has to tell you, nobody has to motivate you. Nobody has to fire you up. He just knew it. And the other thing I saw is him being really scared. People think people get here and win because they're naturally outgoing and they don't struggle with fear. I watched David schedule appointments. This was back when everybody had a landline, right? We had a telephone that had could reach all four corners of our little tiny log cabin, right? And he would take that phone back in the bedroom and close the door. And he'd sit there sometimes for 45 minutes before he'd call somebody. And then one night, his manager told him, the guy that was training him said, I can't come. I can't make it. You're going to have to cancel the appointment. He said, you go do it on your own, right? So David says, look, I'll go do this appointment on my own. And he was at our little round kitchen table in our kitchen. And I remember looking at him, he was pale. His voice was quivering. And I remember asking him, I said, David, why in the world would you do this to yourself? In other words, in my mind, you've got this great job lined up in Dallas. You've got one semester left in college. Why would you be putting yourself through this? And I remember him telling me, he did not hesitate. And I realized now he'd heard Art Williams say this. He said, I've got to be willing to do what average and ordinary people are willing to do. He had to break out of that comfort zone. And, he faced that fear. And I've looked back so many times and been really thankful, that he did that. But I was not supportive at all. He started saying things after 4 months in the business. He told me he was going to make a 6-figure income, which I thought he needed his head examined. I said, we didn't know anybody. This is 1980. This is early 1980. We didn't know anybody making a 6-figure income. I mean, my dad, maybe. And I was just like, Dave, when you go to these meetings, are they like giving you something to drink? They're serving Kool-Aid at these meetings, right? What is going on here? And so I would work on his attitude, and I would tell him, actually, I didn't work on his attitude. I'd try to, and I'd tell him all the reasons he couldn't do this. I mean, I had my little list I went down, and anyway, he came in late one night, woke me up and said, I've made a decision. I'm not going back to school for my last semester, but I've won this trip to Sea Island, Georgia, the Cloister Hotel. And, I want you to go with me. I want you to come take a real serious look at this company. And this is what I want to do. And I remember just feeling kind of devastated. I remember thinking, this is awful. And anyway, he ended up talking me into going. I went, and Sea Island is amazing. It's very swanky. It's like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And, I tell everybody, my joke is that every year my family went to LA twice a year, which was Lower Alabama. We went to my Aunt Jane's peanut farm. It had nothing to do with, I knew nothing about traveling to a nice hotel or going somewhere nice, but we went to this amazing place. It was an all expense paid trip. And on the last day, there was a partner meeting where they basically, at the time, most of the people in the business most were males and then were married to women. Isn't always the case, but anyway, I ended up in this partner meeting that David kind of forced me to go sit down in. And Angela Williams, the founder, was Art. His wife Angela went through and started sharing her story and talking about things. And she made a statement. One of the statements she made was that when two average, ordinary people in love pool their talents and work together toward a common goal, they can accomplish extraordinary things. And I sat in that meeting and listened to all these different partners. I watched them like locking arms, and I kind of began to catch, because I'd listened to Art Williams, but something about sitting in that room full of those women, sharing their hearts and talking about their crusade and vision and the mission and what they want to do. And it sounded impossible. It was like taking on Prudential and things like that. But I remember I left there emotional. I went and found Dave. I said, okay, let's go see what we can do. And we did something that makes no sense at all. And I don't know if you've ever been at that point in your life, you got to jump off a cliff, right? We jumped off the cliff. We both quit college. We both quit our jobs, and we went full time. We opened a little office in Laurel, Mississippi, downtown. And there's something about burning your bridges, or burning the ships or whatever. That, man, will give you an intensity about what you're doing. And we just went for it. And we're sitting here 43 years later, and I think back on that, and now I realize that was a bold, courageous move. It was stupidity. You could talk to my family and they were like, Jill, what are you doing? What are y'all thinking? My sister gave me lecture after lecture after lecture. But man, when you start fighting that fight, you start winning and accomplishing your dreams and winning for your family, it is the most amazing feeling. But I just, in the couple minutes I have left, I want to share with you, in looking back and looking at our company today, what I feel really sets us apart, makes us different, makes us unique. And that I feel like are pretty mostly unique to our company. There are a few companies that have a few aspects of this, but one is just no politics. You know, doesn't matter who your mama and daddy are, doesn't matter, who you play golf with. I mean, you can pick up that financial independence book and look at people from all walks of life that win here, win big here. We are so diversified, and I think our diversity really is our greatest strength. I think getting to love what you do. There are a lot of people that make a living and hate their life. They hate their job. I read one thing that said 85% of people in jobs hate their job and their boss. Man, life's too short to do that. I love that fact we get to help people get a financial game plan, the stuff that video just talked about, proven concepts, consumer concepts, help people get started saving for retirement, provide protection in the event of loss of a breadwinner. These are important strategies for families. And, I think we all know that families, a lot of their challenges just don't have enough money. We talk to them about money management, but really a lot of families just need more money. And so to have people offer them an opportunity, and it might be somebody that comes in, maybe they don't want to be an RVP, have their own office, attain ownership and produce other offices. Maybe they just want to pay off all their debt. Maybe they want to buy a really big television. Maybe they're like the waitress that came up to us years ago at Cracker Barrel, and she was actually the manager, and she came over and she said, "You don't remember me, but I used to work with you guys." And she started crying, and I was thinking, I remember immediately thinking, man, what did we do wrong? We must have done something wrong. And she said, because of what I had to come talk to y'all and tell you, because of what I learned. She said, I never really did much, but because of what I've learned, my husband and I are debt free. For the first time in our life, we saved money every month. And she just had to come thank you. And I thought, how cool is that? Man, talk about a win-win-win opportunity. You get to build a business. You have an opportunity here to build a business, passive income, residual income, attain ownership, recognition, competition, contests, rewards. I mean, it borders on the ridiculous. We will have convention next summer, and I'm telling you, half the time you're sitting in the dome, it will be people being recognized for what they've accomplished. And I just think when your success will be celebrated, and I think that's unique. It's flexible, and that makes it wonderful. When we came into business, we didn't have kids, but we ended up having two. And, I would take the kids' calendars and put it on Dave's calendar, and he would just book his life. He'd book his business around that, because it was flexible. It wasn't a 9-to-5 where you got to ask somebody if you can go to the bathroom, right? You are your own boss. And I remember our founder saying he wanted to get to a point in his life that nobody had their thumb on him. And, man, if you're the kind of person that, you are self-governed, man, this is a great place to come to work and find out what you've got, what you're made of. It's a positive environment, team, relationships. I think one of my defining moments in the business was when we went to Hawaii. I think it was in 1986. I've been to Hawaii now this kid that's never been anywhere except to LA, my Aunt Jane's peanut farm. We've been to Hawaii about 18 times, I think, with the company. But we went in, I think it was 86. So I had like a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, something like that. And one of the things they offered was an optional marriage and family workshop. So I'm like, okay, this would be cool, optional. I'd never been to a family and marriage workshop. I did not know what to expect. And we went in, y'all, and they showed this James Dobson film that I still think about 40-something years later. It was profound. It was awesome. And it built into my life. It wasn't just about, oh, let's just go build a business. It was like, man, let's build good lives. Let's build good families. Let's do something good. Freedom, how you put a price tag on freedom. No quotas, no territory. And no limits. I mean, it's crazy. People are doing now in 5 years what took David and I 20 years to do. They're doing it quicker. They're building bigger and smarter. And it's just an exciting thing to watch. We've been able to work as a partnership. Sometimes that's not very pretty. Sometimes people would see me running around the office building outside going, why is Jill circling the building? I was blowing off steam to keep from taking Dave's head off, right? And I remember having arguments. We had an argument in the middle of downtown Vienna, Austria. We were on a company trip, and I remember the argument included a conversation where I told David, I said, if you would just listen to me, we'd be 3 times bigger. And David made a statement to me that said, he said, Jill, it's been amazing. I've been able to do anything. He said, it's been hit the ball and drag Jill, hit the ball and drag Jill. So I understand partnership can be challenging, but I do believe that 2 of the greatest things in life are loving who you're with and loving what you do. And this is a place where we've been able to, not always been pretty, not always been perfect, but man, when you can lock arms and you figure out how to stand back to back and you start climbing mountains and conquering things, it's magical. It's magical for your partnership. It's magical for your family. It's an acquired skill business. Anybody can learn it. Anybody can learn this. You might say, we take somebody and just assume they don't know anything and train them. If you're coachable, if you've got the desire, I can have all the desire in the world for you, but unless you have the desire, it's not going to work. And if you have a willingness to work, we've got an incredible support system in the home office. I mean, it's second to none. Unbelievable home office staff of people that are behind you. And then, the other thing I just had to add is we've become a portable business. David and I spent last October in Rosemary Beach, Florida, because I'm sitting right now in my library at home. I talked to one guy, an RVP that works here in our area in Mississippi, in Jackson, and he said, I closed business in 3 states in 3 hours. I mean, with Zoom, and COVID, that was kind of one of the hidden blessings, I guess. I don't know if you can see it that way, but we have a great team and we draft off each other. So anyway, I just want to kind of share what I see as our winning edge and what I believe the future holds. It's going to be great. And if you think this is for you, I just say, don't let fear stop you. And here's that.